dive into entertainment.
Yo.
Especially because 2 episodes ago we were talking about Star Wars TV. Now let's talk about Marvel TV, guys.
How are they going to bring it back?
Okay, so for starters at the moment, last week there was a new development, a big report that came out that Marvel TV is currently going through a creative overhaul. So this first came through with the Daredevil show. So Daredevil Born Again. This is one of the shows that are going to be coming up on the slate. And so it was a recent announcement that they quietly let go of all of their TV writers and directors and the showrunner because they had filmed 4 episodes before the strike occurred.
Yeah.
And apparently upon examination with the episodes, Feige said it wasn't going to do. Because allegedly, Daredevil himself, the character, like Matt Murdock's hero persona, didn't come in until episode 4.
Wow.
The rest of it, like, I know that they're focusing on the lawyer aspect of his life, but I think that was something that that Feige was a bit like, oh, that feels a bit odd.
One moment quickly. Kevin Feige. No.
Feige got a power
But
trip,
also
bro.
interesting because can I ask,
Yes.
did any of the Netflix staff that previously worked on Daredevil when it was in its Netflix era, have they come across, or is it completely new people?
No, it's completely revamped because this taps into a sneaky tactic that Disney has, where for all of their shows, if it reaches 3 seasons, they name it something completely new, because if you make a 4th season of something, that's a syndication thing of which will require pay rises for people.
Wow.
And so technically,
What is an example of this? Like,
all the Disney shows, like the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and then they named it Sweet Life of Zack and Cody Overboard or something, like Hotel.
really? So they just
And
don't want to
it's-
pay.
because of the technicality that it's a different name.
You're right.
That means that they restart the cycle again, and they don't have to do a pay rise for
That's
their writers
crazy.
and their staff.
Mickey
That's
Mouse,
tricky,
you
bro.
so sneaky.
And so I think that
Mouse more
I
like.
think that tactic was playing into with Daredevil, because Daredevil finished on Netflix with 3 seasons, and so everyone was wondering, is this going to continue? Is this technically a 4th season or not?
Yeah.
And so there was a new development yesterday, actually, that they've hired a new showrunner, Dario Scardapane, who is from Netflix Punisher. So everyone,
So it's still within the realm.
so everyone is excited now. I think that's more promise that hopefully it will honor the initial
Feel
vibe of the show.
Yeah.
Which, because like Daredevil was probably the
Very
best show
good.
out of the Netflix
Very good.
Marvel universe.
yeah.
And then new directors, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, they've jumped on board, and they recently directed episodes from Loki season 2.
Oh, okay.
So-
we're in good hands then.
So I think that's very promising.
we're in
So,
very good hands.
we'll shortly talk about Loki,
Yeah.
but just some other points I wanted to touch on. So part of the report as well is that MCU TV now, they want to go down more of the route of traditional season format as opposed to limited series,
Yeah, makes sense.
which
What's the difference? Like,
Limited series is
just the 6 episodes, and then that's it for
Yeah.
so
for
it's the
that
length. Traditional seasons are longer, right? 20, something like that.
thing. Yes, because for example, Daredevil Born Again
Yeah.
is going to be 18 episodes,
Oh, okay.
which is
but
almost
like
triple.
like half an hour? Like no, it would have to be like 45-ish minutes, right?
Yes,
More
that's
content.
so far what's been. I think that's where it's going to be headed to.
Because the business model of it all, right? Like Disney have established themselves as the streaming platform. You have to feed that content constantly.
Yes.
So that's probably the reason why that they're now venturing into this new business, this new model with all of the different shows. And let's be real, in the last, like, I guess with the slump that Marvel's like kind of experienced
Especially this year.
post Endgame,
Yeah.
and going into the new phase, both in film and in TV, there's been like standouts,
Oh yeah,
but far and few in between.
it's highs and lows, because I know that for this phase especially, they're trying to experiment, obviously, to branch out.
Branch out.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Branch out, bringing in new creatives to give in their input. But again, like that's why there's been so much mixed reception to this season, to this phase. So people will have like, wow, this was amazing, or they'll feel strongly, wow, this was super weak. And so to each their own.
Yeah.
Essentially.
They have to try. They have to try. They
Yes,
have to try.
they have to try.
Because you're rebuilding again, right? It's you don't have the clout of the previous talent. There's new
These
stories that
new,
are to
new
be
people now to invest
explored and whatnot. And what I really loved about, I guess, the recent offerings is there is that you feel that wider diversity play and exploring different stories and whatnot.
in. Yes.
However, the audience can be a fickle bunch.
Especially those that have stayed with Marvel for so
Exactly.
long.
And it's kind of that thing of where like the thing that you've been well known for can haunt you because that's what people come to expect, right?
Oh yeah, the formula.
Yeah.
That has been, now it's starting to be like cursing or a blessing.
Yeah.
in terms of-
100%. So it's like, again, it's now that time to kind of reinvent to a degree or learn from the ones that have done really, really well.
Yes, which seems to be where they're going for Daredevil Born Again in terms of employing these new people and what they've previously worked on.
You know, I've just realized as well, Daredevil is going through its like Spider-Man era. Where it's
He's
like
just-
there's just multiple incarnations of it,
But it's the
like,
same
but
guy.
it's the same guy. Like,
Well, at least for this one, I'm glad they brought back Charlie Cox.
oh yeah, no, 100%. Like
Yes.
he's great.
Yes.
So
One of my faves.
hopefully, yeah, it must be interesting as well because if I was the Feige man
Yeah,
and with my hat on and everything,
exactly. Yeah.
like it's interesting to see, you know, they've put the money in and they review because they've got like, okay, now I'm talking to TV chat, right? They've got dailies, right? So they see what's being produced and created, etc., right? And then they stitch things up. 4 episodes in, you're telling me they're like, nah, I'm going to cut it. Nah.
Yeah, like they had the whole strike to really like mull it over.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, nah. Which I like is unfortunate for those that were fired.
Yeah.
Like that is a bit of a kick in the gut to them.
yeah.
And I think on top of that particular move that they do, I think that's why some of Marvel TV has suffered is because they've gone through these motions of they will hire this person, but then you'll see a few months later that they left due to creative differences,
differences.
so to speak.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
they
yeah.
bring in someone else. And so it's about trying to make it cohesive, but then if you keep adding all these different different new creative voices, then sometimes the material starts to go into a
Lose
weird way.
it, yeah.
Which is why all this change comes on the heels of Secret Invasion, which has been declared the worst rated Marvel TV
Wasn't that
show.
bad? Well, we haven't finished it, but it was pretty snory.
Yeah. And as well, there was a particular comment from this report that said the whole fix it in post attitude makes it feel like a director doesn't matter sometimes.
Yes.
The fact that, of course, like, yes, VFX is a big part of a lot
Yeah.
of these Marvel shows, but you still have to, there has to be an integrity to what you're creating on the day to still make it into the cut and for it to matter for the actors or the directors.
100%. Because when I think about, I guess, the directors that have come through in Marvel, so obviously we had Joss Whedon who kicked it off, and, you know, kudos to him and whatnot, but then that kind of went away. And then the only other, like, real directors, well, the main directors, right, that have just come through the whole time is what? Russo brothers,
Yeah.
obviously.
They capped it off. They capped off the Endgame phase. Yeah.
Yeah. We got Taika.
Yes.
That, like, I mean, love him or not, in the sense that, like, with how the second and third one went.
Yes.
You know, because the first, no, sorry, he didn't do the first
Third
one.
and fourth.
Sorry, third and fourth, sorry.
Talking about Thor, right?
But I mean, Ragnarok was still great. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
alright.
Ragnarok. And then obviously
Yeah, last
gone
one,
to the competitor side, but James Gunn.
Yeah.
With, I guess, again, it's the tone, the feel. What's going to get people going? How do you make? We're now at the space with superhero movies where it's like superhero movies are there the whole time, right? They're everywhere. How do you make
they're
it
the
cut
new-
through?
yeah.
And not just purely on the brand in itself with the two houses, right? Because
Yeah.
for crying out loud, now there's going to be gamer movies, and obviously I don't want to go off tangent, but you know, there's there's
the new IP that they can
yeah.
just start going into, but
Don't do it, Sean.
/ old toys.
yes, but in a lot of these cases, like the examples that you've listed is that certain showrunners or directors become synonymous with this certain hero or certain IP because their style has just really has worked, has
Revolved
become
around it.
successful, and so that's why it's different from Marvel TV because it's different directors each episode, maybe different writers each episode, and again trying to make it cohesive as a whole product when people watch the episode, which brings us on to just briefly. We'll talk about Loki.
The team on Loki.
Loki season 2. We just watched episode 4 last night.
Very good.
And I think Loki is probably one of the strongest shows in the whole slate.
100%.
Especially it's vouching for that seasonal approach instead of just limited series. Even though it's only 6 episodes per season.
But they pack in some good content.
But yeah, because the way that season 1 ended was obviously to set up season 2.
Yeah.
And season 2 now we're rolling through the punches in terms
the
of the effects.
The greater story as well, right? It was where did Kang come in? Kang came through Ant-Man, but Loki
He was set up in
But Loki set it
Loki.
up, right?
Yeah. So
that's where that's like like get back to that, Marvel. Disney.
the interconnecting.
Get back to that. Just figure out the good ways to tie things.
Connections.
Don't go on a 4-day week. Like, you know, like.
Oh, they can't
You're
afford
really going to pick your 4-day week there.
They cannot afford to, especially the VFX.
Because, you know, creativity.
Wait, I want to go back.
I
want to go back to the point that you said about fix it in post. Like, that's a pretty big statement. You're saying that, like, I know that they've relied on like that effects.
Gotta have a plan.
train.
That's what we're basically saying.
Are we just saying the
right?
stories are weak to begin with, right?
Some of them, yes.
And it's also because
Relying on
if it becomes too predictable, which is interesting as well. Sorry, if we're going back to writer strike and whatnot, you have to have a good roster of writers and the time. I think that's the problem with the train of it all, right?
Yes.
Because you got to there's a timeline where it's like you're trying to. I'd love to see how it all works, where they're trying to map out the different phases, right? And how they're going to connect. And then also, do they have the IP and all of that stuff, right? Because the last phase, this current phase in a film point of view, they've had to reshuffle. Obviously, COVID threw things in the mix
they
as well.
reshuffled a lot because of COVID,
And it's just the implications then of like, how do you execute on that vision based on all of these changes, right?
Especially because they've pushed back some of these ones because of the strike. Now, how does that affect the flow of like stories?
Because they still got to have what? They still got to have how many movies, how many TV shows within a year? Like,
well, apparently they're starting to space
number
it
they
out
need to
more.
hit, right?
They're starting to space it out more to provide space for people to enjoy one thing.
Yeah.
Because especially last year, I would say that it was starting to get like, there's a bit too much.
There's too much going on.
At the same time.
Like, I haven't seen out of the last 5 shows.
No,
like,
it's more than that.
Well, like from a Marvel point of view.
Yes. Because you watched the first year of shows. You watched WandaVision.
Yeah. All that was
Falcon, Winter
beautiful.
Soldier, Loki.
Yeah. Oh.
What If?
Yeah, and then probably
Hawkeye.
post that, except for
following
Moon Knight.
You did, yeah. You haven't seen much of Miss
I haven't
Marvel.
seen it. I haven't seen
No,
like
that's
this.
good.
There is no. Don't get me wrong, internet. All right, I love the diversity and I love all of that, but it's just, I think as an audience member, the barrage barrage of content, right?
Yes.
It's just the barrage of content that's going on. It's just too much. But please, let's go back to Loki because, oof, what a cliffhanger.
It's bigger than the season 1 episode 4 cliffhanger because episode 4 is always the best. Like shit just blows up. Like
Shit just blows up.
Literally in this episode. Spoilers if you haven't watched. Should have put that ahead. But otherwise, like this show, like this season especially, has really followed its voice in terms of like the production.
Yeah.
The directing style.
So good.
A lot of the cinematography is great.
The cast is killing it.
The cast, like we were discussing, like I know scandal aside, but Jonathan Majors,
Oh,
he's bloody great.
He's
as
so
all
good.
the Kang variants.
he's so good.
Like, I get
and it just
why
makes
he
me
was picked.
It's
Yeah.
like
it's unfortunate if he's possibly throwing it away.
get some help,
Yeah.
mate. Get some
Yes.
help. Repent.
Repair.
And like, because he is an amazing talent.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing talent.
Yes.
But bro, get your shit together.
Because like he really matches the energy of like the rest of the cast. Because for example, I mean Hiddleston has been a cornerstone as Loki itself for I think he's the one of the longest running. Like,
longest running, like genuinely, if you apply the thought of like Hollywood
Yeah.
in like Marvel
Yeah.
and like the actors, like tier of Hollywood, like that was his breakout role.
Yeah,
for crying out
in
loud.
the first
like,
Thor movie, and he was the first villain in Avengers.
and it was just like just charisma, the Riz, just oozing.
he still looks great.
Still looks
The
great.
black hair, yeah,
It
like,
works for him.
it's
The
still-
green,
yeah.
No, the tight
CGI.
shirts. The tight shirts.
The tight shirts and the
We're done,
the
Sean.
thing.
Yeah, the thing. The thing.
What's it called? But you know what I mean.
What the?
The suspenders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the suspenders type thing because like they hold. something
Ah,
in
yeah,
there,
like
yeah.
a
Should wear my
holster type of.
suspenders.
vibe
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's like it's the new upgraded look after
Yeah.
the green and gold.
100%.
Mischief.
100%.
But otherwise, like we're tuning in for what the final 2 episodes will be, because I believe this is the last show for the year because they've had to push Echo to next year.
What's Echo?
Echo was introduced in Hawkeye.
Ah, yeah. The
Native American.
yeah.
She's
Oh my
deaf.
god.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
She's deaf, and so
Ah,
also she's
her.
connected to
Yeah.
she's gonna be connected to Daredevil as well.
Ah.
Daredevil and
Well, yeah, because they're in the same city.
yeah, and Wilson Fisk, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a whole comic thing as well.
Vincent D'Onofrio is coming back. Yeah.
Yes, him
Yeah,
and
nice.
Charlie Cox were
Yeah.
cast back,
Good.
which is good.
Very good.
But yeah, otherwise it's very interesting for Marvel. I really hope they take into heart, because especially after the writer's strike, it's really valuing your writers, trying to make things strong. Because quick point, I was just gonna say, because like the problem with Secret Invasion is that there has to be a balance with like honoring the source material, because Secret Invasion itself is such an interesting storyline.
Yeah.
Which is part of why it fell flat, because everyone was like,
They goofed it.
they're not doing it, like they're
Justice.
not adapting it as well as it could have been. And so otherwise, like at least with Loki, because this is technically whole new terrain in a sense, that
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
in the MCU exclusively, like
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they're adapting this character and put in all these new characters.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, let's see how it goes with Marvel TV.